Thank you all for joining us for today's webinar hosted by Gobi and Fitwel to discuss the Fitwel certification system. Leading today's call, we have from Gobi, Eva Baldinger, myself, Nicole Phillips, and Christine Cho. And joining us from the Center for Active Design, who operates Fitwel, we have Zach Flora and Lisa Creighton. We'll kick off today's webinar with an overview of the Fitwel certification and certification process, and then hand it over to Zach, who will walk us through some of the changes seen with Fitwel version 2.1, which was released in June of this year. And then to close out our session today, we will have a facilitated Q&A with Lisa and use our remaining time to answer any questions you all may have. If you notice the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen with the questions tab, feel free to submit any questions you have throughout the presentation. And time permitting, we will do our best to answer all of them at the end. So without further ado, let's get started. Here at Gobi, we make the business case for sustainability initiatives with Gobi Sustainability and AP Reporting Solutions. Our cloud-based platform seamlessly aggregates building and portfolio data to streamline benchmarking and certifications across your portfolio. Our marketing leading team of sustainability and AP consultants helps improve your results as you grow as a portfolio. With sustainability reporting powered by Gobi, your buildings can increase overall asset value and improve investor perception, ensure all reporting requirements are met, establish market leadership and benchmarking against peers, reduce time spent capturing, analyzing, and reporting sustainability data, and track year-to-year portfolio improvements and performance. Gobi is very excited to be pairing up with Fitwel today and moving forward to get buildings certified, because Fitwel has a vision for a healthier future where every building is enhanced to support the well-being of its occupants and to support healthy communities. Fitwel is a premier certification system for optimizing buildings to improve health and productivity outcomes, and they do this through targeted improvements to building design and operational policies. Fitwel is designed to support a healthier future where every building is enhanced to support the well-being of its occupants and surrounding communities. It's organized around specific incremental changes that will foster a healthier workplace or home, regardless of size, construction year, or location. Since its onset, Fitwel has been a collaborative, health-focused initiative. The development of Fitwel for workplaces was led by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, also known as the CDC, and the General Services Administration, the GSA. Input was gathered from experts in public health and design, with over 3,000 scientific studies being reviewed. From there on out, the Center for Active Design, the CFAD, is the operator of Fitwel. CFAD is a leading nonprofit organization that uses design to foster healthy and engaged communities while ensuring equitable access to vibrant public and private spaces that support optimal quality of life. The CFAD has led the development of Fitwel for multifamily residential buildings, retail buildings, and community spaces, which is currently in pilot, and with input from the CDC and other experts in public health and design. They've also led the worldwide adoption of Fitwel, manage certifications and engagement, and they oversee future development of the system, including new scorecards and content. The CDC remains a partner of Fitwel and incorporates future research findings as the science behind healthy real estate evolves. We're very excited to be here with Zach and Lisa today to discuss a bit more of CFAD's role. There are various mechanisms for engagement with the Fitwel certification system. At the top of the pyramid, we have Fitwel champions, of which Gobi currently is one. Champions are companies or organizations seeking to prioritize health in the design and operation of buildings within their portfolio. They're industry leaders of Fitwel's groundbreaking approach to health and wellness. They commit to apply Fitwel to their entire real estate portfolios or a large portion thereof. And the champion orgs receive some benefits, such as reduced certification rates, on-call assistance from Fitwel's team of dedicated account managers, a targeted training from company staff, exclusive updates, and access to Fitwel materials, including new scorecards, which Gobi has found incredibly beneficial, one complimentary ambassador course for each project committed to Fitwel, the opportunity to join a Fitwel advisory council, as well as a shortened certification review timeline. Typically, this timeline is about 16 weeks, and when you're a champion, it's in 12 weeks. The next option is to become a Fitwel ambassador. These are professionally recognized individuals who are leading the healthy building movement through the application of Fitwel. They're well-versed in the evidence-based connection between building design, operations, and health, and have a clear understanding of how to integrate Fitwel strategies within buildings and workplaces. They're allowed access to the Fitwel portal to help clients register, track progress, and attain Fitwel certification. They receive a shortened certification review timeline. Again, this is 12 weeks versus the typical 16 weeks, and they are required to pass a 15-question exam that is based on 3 concepts: the importance of impact of designing to promote health, the rationale and implementation requirements of Fitwel strategies, and the Fitwel submission and certification process. In order to become an ambassador, you have to pass this exam with a score of 80% or higher. Currently, Gobi has a number of ambassadors on board, and we love to help our clients become part of this family and this community of Fitwel certification portfolios. In August, Fitwel expanded the ambassador program to include the Fitwel course series. These courses will bring more in-depth insight on the research trends and innovations connecting buildings and communities with health. The first course, Food and Nutrition in the Built Environment, is currently available for registration, and more courses are coming soon. For general users, you still have individuals or companies interested in applying Fitwel to one or multiple projects, and these general users can register projects online and still achieve Fitwel certification. So there's multiple ways to be involved with the certification process here with Fitwel. Fitwel was designed with large real estate portfolios in mind. However, both portfolio and asset level approaches have the same process and the same scorecards. During this presentation, we are focused primarily on workplace projects associated with Fitwel. However, Fitwel has established pathways for retail, which impacts management staff, employees, and visitors of multi-tenant complexes and standalone properties, multifamily residential properties, which impacts residents of an entire building or development that contains multiple dwelling units and is classified as a multifamily residential. And additionally, Fitwel is currently piloting a community pathway. This imparts occupants of contiguous development that incorporates open space, more than one building, and multiple uses, including residential and at least one other type, such as retail, commercial, industrial, civic, or institutional. Gobi is super excited about this pilot, and to learn more about these options and the associated scorecards, you can visit fitwel.org/standard. Moving forward to the workplace, we have multi-tenant base buildings. This impacts building owner, management staff within buildings or campuses whose floors and common areas are occupied by multiple tenants. So if your building chooses to pursue the multi-tenant base building, we'll be focused solely on the managers of the building versus the tenants that occupy the space. Multi-tenant whole buildings, on the other hand, impact all the occupants, which includes building owner, management staff, and the tenants within the buildings or campuses whose floors and common areas are occupied by multiple tenants. Single-tenant buildings impact all occupants of an entire building or campus whose floors and common areas are occupied by a single tenant. And lastly, we have commercial interior spaces, which impacts occupants within contiguous spaces or groups of contiguous spaces within a building that are occupied or controlled by a single tenant. And again, to read a little bit more about these pathways, feel free to visit fitwel.org/standard. And I'm going to hand it over to Nicole here to keep us moving.
So just to take a bit of a deep dive into the meat of the Fitwel program, we're going to look at some of the health impact categories. So Fitwel for workplaces includes 74 in multifamily residential, evidence-based design and operational strategies that enhance the building environment by addressing a broad range of health behaviors and risks. For Fitwel, health is an interconnected system with no single dominant category or area of focus. Thus, all strategies are voluntary and don't include any individual prerequisites. Strategies are those with the strongest evidence base and with the highest demonstrated impact on Fitwel's 7 health impacts. So the 7 impact categories are as follows: impacts surrounding community health, reduces morbidity and absenteeism, supports social equity for vulnerable populations, instills feelings of well-being, enhances access to healthy foods, promotes occupant safety, and increases physical activity. Each Fitwel strategy is linked by empirical evidence to at least one of these 7 Fitwel health impact categories. There are 12 different sections that the Fitwel strategies are categorized under. Each of the sections are weighted, and each strategy within the Fitwel certification system is associated with unique point allocations, which is based on strength of the backing science, as well as the demonstrated impact on occupant health. So this allows for strategies that are linked to impacts under multiple categories to receive more points, and recognizes those strategies whose health outcomes are supported by the strongest evidence base. So looking at the strategies more in depth, the strategies are categorized into the 12 following sections on a weighted scale. So for shared spaces, that includes strategies like a regular bathroom cleaning schedule or signs within the restroom to wash your hands. Indoor environment includes a strategy for a tobacco-free building policy. Location encourages decreased car use and dependency on local transit. So, having really good access to public transit would work for that particular strategy. Prepared food areas encourages healthy food choices through pricing incentives. Stairs includes having a stairwell that's accessible to regular occupants that connects to relevant building floors, even if that means that it would just go from your particular floor in the building down to the lobby, so all occupants have access to that. Outdoor spaces includes an outdoor space amenity for occupants. Entrances and ground floors, signage publicizing that tobacco-free building site at every single entrance of that building. Emergency preparedness means creating and maintaining a database of building emergency equipment and supplies. Workplaces having a view of nature from a majority of workspaces. Vending machines and snack bars, encouraging healthy food choices through various pricing incentives. Water supply would be something like having a water bottle refill station on every floor. And then building access pertains to walkable access, like things such as public transit, bike rooms, and different pedestrian routes. So this is just a glimpse at one of the scorecards. So the scorecards provide 4 options for each strategy. Yes, if that strategy is in place at your building. No, if that strategy is not in place. Not applicable just means that that strategy is not in place, but the absence of that strategy doesn't necessarily negatively impact the health outcomes for those occupants. And then alternative compliance just means that the intent of that strategy is being met by implementing an equivalent method, either for full or partial credit. And I'd just like to note that V2.1 now includes scorecards for community and retail spaces. These scorecards are strictly for workplace. So here at Gobi, we just wanted to highlight some of our favorite strategies in particular. So 7.2 is providing views of nature and or greenery in workplaces. So Gobi is located downtown Chicago, not exactly a ton of views to greenery outside our windows, but we do have plenty of plants, flowers, all around the office, for occupant health and honestly just enjoyment. Brightens up our workspace a little bit. And then another one of our favorite strategies is 8.9, which is to provide a dedicated fitness facility available at a competitive market rate to all tenants. So here at Gobi, we only have to pay $15 a month for our fitness facility located in the basement of our building, which is far under market rate. So it's really great. We have access to that facility during the morning, midday, or after work at night. And just to dive a little bit deeper into the different sections and categories, for Category 7 workplaces, these are the available points and the different strategies that your building might be able to obtain. Natural daylight, having natural daylight come into those workspaces, views of nature, like I had mentioned, operable shading, active workstations, and thermal control. So 2 of those in particular, that natural daylight is just making sure that each workspace has access to ample daylight throughout the day, and views of nature, either having a lot of plants or having a lovely view of nature outside those windows. So shared spaces is the heaviest weighted category with 13 different strategies that you might be able to obtain. So like I had mentioned, that bathroom cleaning protocol, hand washing signage, having a lactation room and stations throughout your office space, also another important one. And just to highlight that fitness facility providing all regular occupants subsidized access to fitness, as well as health programming. So Fitwel has 3 different certification levels that your building may be able to obtain. Fitwel addresses health as a holistic system and the benefits of the strategies that are in any place on any given project are cumulative. So in order to achieve that 1 star, you have to have a minimum of 90 points. 2 stars is 105 to 124 points, and that top tier 3-star Fitwel certification is 125 to 144 points. So we did want to show a little bit of the Fitwel portal. Here at Gobi, we love the Fitwel portal. We use it quite a bit, and it's used to complete the Fitwel benchmarking and certification process for portfolios or individual projects. So it really gives you an at-a-glance view of all the projects registered within a portfolio and overall allows users to control and manage their projects. So we really think that it allows for collaboration. You can register your new projects. You have a portfolio-wide application. You can benchmark your project and then eventually complete that project certification. So some of the highlights that we here at Gobi really like of the portal is the ability to see what category a strategy falls under, and to see what impact category your building is excelling in. So for outdoor spaces in particular, these 3 categories are highlighted to the right. Outdoor spaces increases physical activity, reduces morbidity, and instills feeling of well-being. And we also really like the scorecard summary that allows you to view a summary of your anticipated score. It breaks down Fitwel strategies as they apply to your building, and users are able to review areas of opportunity as well as areas of strength and strategize accordingly. So now I'm going to hand it over to Christine to discuss why Gobi chooses Fitwel.
Thanks, Nicole. So now we're going to discuss the importance of Fitwel and how it can impact the workspace and what it means for business. Again, just to recap some of the points both Eva and Nicole have mentioned, Fitwel encourages low-cost, high-impact, enhances health, well-being, and business, and all strategies are voluntary with no cost-prohibitive prerequisites. So Fitwel means business. There is an actual need for healthier buildings. Employers are currently well aware of the impact health-related costs have on their bottom line. Productivity losses related to health cost U.S. employers over $225 billion annually. In a survey conducted by McGraw-Hill Construction, 49% of building owners said they are willing to pay more for buildings demonstrated to have a positive impact on health. And even McKinsey has predicted that wellness, it's the next trillion-dollar industry. 52% of all millennials also said living or working in a healthy environment is influential to their personal health, compared with 40% of Gen Xers and 41% of baby boomers. So it's definitely growing. As the millennials become the largest generation in the workforce, Fitwel can be an important tool to help businesses attract and retain talent. With more demand of a healthier work environment, health and wellness is becoming the standard and therefore expected to be implemented in the workspace. Tenants are more likely to consider buildings with environmental, social, and governance, or ESG programs and certifications. Tenants also expect better air quality, modern cleaning practices, energy efficiency, and an overall management group that is more attuned to their needs. Another great benefit of Fitwel is that it creates a system that delivers a standardized methodology which addresses ESG as a whole and the wellness experience as a subset of it throughout the portfolio. Fitwel can then be incorporated into other disclosure programs that continue to grow, such as GRES, whereas of 2019, actually the health and well-being question set is integrated into the main GRES real estate assessment and allows participating companies and funds to assess and benchmark the actions they are taking to promote health and well-being. Let's review employee sick days and their impact on revenue. There are over 5.6 million commercial buildings in the U.S., and within these buildings, about 120 million employees spend on average over 8 hours per day at their jobs. Workplaces present multiple health risks to employees, from increasing exposure to indoor pollutants to discouraging or preventing physical activity during work hours. Beyond the individual health benefits, fostering a healthy work environment can also result in decreased healthcare costs and increased productivity. Annual absenteeism rates in the U.S. are 3% per private sector employee, costing just over $2,000 per employee per year. Pretty expensive. And how does Fitwel contribute to your ESG strategy as a whole, you might ask? Well, participating in Fitwel contributes to a more robust health and wellness governance model. Certifications will improve standing and disclosure programs such as RES, which we'll also discuss later, and operational aspects of Fitwel can minimize impact on the local community, and the impact of the S of social in ESG means that occupants are happier, which leads to a more productive, loyal, and creative work environment. Now the slide you've all been waiting for, the cost. Fitwel is designed to be both highly effective and cost-effective. Fitwel is meant to be an accessible program and has the same fees for all participants, depending on no matter their company size or asset type. So the costs are per building, square footage, and portfolio type, and the registration fee is currently a flat $500, and the certification fee can range between $5,500 and $8,000 per project based on the project size. Then there's capital expenses and other soft costs involved depending on which strategies your team wants to achieve. And those who become Fitwel champions, like mentioned earlier, who commit to over 6 buildings over a period of 12 months, you can actually receive a discounted rate for certification, so another benefit. To follow here is the outline of the Fitwel process. So first comes the assessment process, which includes interviews, site plan reviews, report development, recommendations, and a scorecard is then completed for you in order to benchmark your project. If your team is unsure on which properties to submit for certification, an ambassador from Gobi can actually help work with your team to determine the most qualified properties for certification. As soon as a project is submitted for certification, the Fitwel team begins its review process. Like mentioned earlier, it usually takes 6 weeks for champions and ambassadors, while for the general user, 8 weeks is typical. When the review is complete, a report is provided back to the team, usually through the Fitwel portal, and which details any additional documentation or clarification needed. Once any clarifications from the initial review report are resolved, a final review report is provided to the project team. This includes the final numerical score with its associated star rating, the outline scorecard, and a certificate. The entire process takes up to 12 weeks for champions and ambassadors, and for the general user, up to 16 weeks. Typical. So currently at the Gobi headquarters here in Chicago, we're currently undergoing Fitwel certification ourselves. We're located in the Loop and with high accessibility to public transit. We already have several other certifications such as LEED bomb and Energy Star, among other great features, and although we're still underway, we will most likely use the same policies from those certifications for indoor air quality, green cleaning, and pest management. We are well on our way. And now to introduce Zach Flora. He is the Senior Associate at the Center for Active Design supporting Fitwel, a unique building certification that positively impacts occupant health through evidence-based design and operational strategies. Through his experience in strategic programming, project management, and community engagement, he supports Fitwel champions, ambassadors, and users to assist in the application of Fitwel to diversify projects around the globe. Additionally, Zach leads the Fitwel Ambassador Program, working to engage and empower leaders in the healthy building movement. Zach has his master's in urban planning and design from Georgetown University, where he focused on the intersection of urban design and public health. Zach will do a quick overview over the V2.1 updates to the Fitwel program. Zach?
Thanks, Christine, and thank you, Gobi, for allowing me to be part of this webinar. Some really great information so far. So as Christine mentioned, this summer Fitwel launched version 2.1, which represents a major system update that reflects an in-depth review of the global evidence base and 2 years of feedback from our diverse users. These include champions such as Gobi, ambassadors such as our Gobi employees, advisors, the lab members, and our research partners. So I want to walk everyone through just a few elements of the Fitwel V2.1 launch. And I think one of the most important updates to come out of version 2.1 is the introduction of the 2 certification pathways, the new construction pathway and the existing building pathway. These allow projects at various stages of development to achieve Fitwel certification. So the new construction pathway allows projects that are either new construction, under construction, or undergoing major renovation to pursue Fitwel certification before they are completed. So projects that are pre-occupancy in the design or construction phases, or again, undergoing a major renovation, can use the new construction pathway to achieve a design certification. The design certification is a full certification that is valid for 3 years from the date it's achieved. Projects that achieve a design certification through the new construction pathway must apply for a built certification once that project is post-occupancy. So during the new construction pathway, you'll first go through the design certification, where you'll be awarded that certificate, which will be valid for 3 years. At the end of that 3 years, you will then go ahead and resubmit the project using the built certification and through the appropriate documentation and requirements that come at that point. So projects in the new construction pathway go through certification twice, once in the design or construction phase, and once the project has been completed. The existing building pathway allows existing or recently completed buildings to pursue Fitwel certification. So these are projects that are post-occupancy. They can use the existing building pathway and achieve a built certification. The built certification, similar to the design certification, is also valid for 3 years from the date it's received. And after those 3 years, projects have the option to recertify, again, using the existing building pathway and achieve another built certification. For both the design and build certifications, projects will be able to market and identify as Fitwel-certified and receive a plaque showcasing their achievement. So project teams, for projects that are in development or construction, that maybe it's a multi-tenant base building, or maybe it's a multi-family residential building, they'll be able to use that design certification to market their project that is upcoming for completion. A second important update, I think, with version 2.1 is the enhancements made to the workplace and multifamily residential scorecards. So for those who are familiar with Fitwel, these are the 2 scorecards that were available during version 2. And the workplace scorecard does have 4 different options, as Gobi went over earlier, which is the multi-tenant base building, multi-tenant whole building, single-tenant building, and commercial interior space. So for both of those workplace and multifamily scorecards and the different types of workplace scorecards, some really significant updates happened with the launch of V2.1. And these updates are really based off the feedback from our users. So you'll find both revised strategies and new strategies based on emerging research, industry best practices, and again, that really valuable feedback from the people who have certified projects under Fitwel the last 2 years. So the workplace scorecard itself, so again, those 4 individual, either the multi-tenant building, single tenant, or commercial interior space, the workplace scorecard includes 15 new strategies and 18 revised strategies for a total of 73 strategies. Sections in workplace that saw significant updates were Section 2, building access, Section 4, entrances and ground floor, Section 6, indoor environment, and Section 8, shared spaces. The multifamily scorecard includes 23 new strategies, so quite a bit more, and 23 revised strategies for a total of 74 strategies. Within the multifamily residential scorecard, sections that saw significant updates include Section 4, entrances and ground floor, Section 6, indoor environment, Section 8, shared spaces, Section 9, water supply, and Section 11, vending machines. So as you said, 15 new strategies in workplace, 23 new strategies in multifamily. These new strategies relate to things such as indoor air quality testing, water quality testing, health and wellness programming on site, occupant satisfactions, and emergency preparedness. Some significant strategies that saw significant revisions are things like indoor air quality policy, views of nature, bicycle parking, and commuter survey. Most revisions come in the form of updated language around demand requirements and location requirements. So demand requirements are going to be details around how much or how many of a specific amenity or element that are needed. And location requirements are going to be the location or distance of a specific amenity or element from a project. Continuing to move on, besides updates to multifamily and workplace, I think a third exciting update at the launch of version 2.1 is the introduction of the retail scorecard. And the retail scorecard builds upon the success of the workplace scorecard. It recognizes that employees in both traditional offices as well as retail settings often face similar challenges and opportunities when it comes to health. So the retail scorecard is organized into similar sections as workplace and emphasizes the same elements. It will allow retail property owners, managers, and tenants of both multi-tenanted and standalone properties to achieve Fitwel certification and positively impact the health and well-being of their employees. With the retail scorecard, you can also use either the new construction or existing building pathway. And the retail scorecard is available currently for public use on the Fitwel portal. Another scorecard that was kind of introduced this summer, and not necessarily part of version 2.1, but definitely was announced around the same time, is the development of the community scorecard for Fitwel. It's a really exciting scorecard, as the community scorecard kind of weaves together the full range of the Center for Active Design's expertise, as featured in the original Active Design Guidelines, our Assembly publication, and ULI's Building Healthy Places Toolkit, as well as the Fitwel standard. So the community scorecard differs from existing Fitwel scorecards in that it shifts the focus from specifically building design to optimizing the community scale impact and looking at design and operations of the public realm. So this scorecard emphasizes amenities that create and promote well-being, looking at things like streets, parks, plazas, and social gathering spaces. It focuses on holistic health impacts that can radiate beyond the project boundary. So looking at visitors to the site and people that interact with the site daily. And at the core of the community scorecard are strategies that elevate resident health, inclusion, agency, and cohesion. The community scorecard is not available for public use at this moment. It's currently in the pilot phase with select users. So currently 9 companies are piloting Fitwel Community. These early adopters span the public and private sectors, and they include Fitwel champions, Kilroy Realty Corporation, and the first Fitwel Community municipal user, the City of Vancouver, Washington. So the community pilot truly benefits from the leadership of these participating firms and these 9 piloting companies and organizations, and their collective input will really make sure that the community scorecard is practical, cost-effective, and scalable when it is released for public use. To read more about the Fitwel Community Pilot, there's a ton of information on all those 9 companies and the projects they've identified. You can go to fitwel.org/news and find the recent press release about that. And for users to stay informed about when the Fitwel Community Scorecard will become available for public use, you can head to fitwel.org/contact, and you'll be added to a list to be alerted when the Community Scorecard is made public. So just a few other things before we move on to our discussion that were kind of impacted by the launch of V2.1. One is the health impact categories. And for those who are familiar with Fitwel, Fitwel includes evidence-based strategies that address a broad range of health behaviors and risks. And the included strategies are those with the strongest evidence base and the highest demonstrated impact. Each strategy is linked by empirical evidence to at least one of Fitwel's 7 health impact categories. The launch of Fitwel V2.1 included the sharing of definitions for each of these, what I call HICs for health impact categories. And they really help users better understand the impact and in many cases the various impacts associated with each strategy. So I think having an understanding of the definitions of these health impact categories really strengthens users' knowledge of the rationale behind each of these strategies and how the strategies themselves are really influencing health of occupants and residents. The other thing that I want to touch on that was touched on briefly before, but I think is worthy of just another touch is scoring. So a unique aspect of Fitwel is the weighted point system that awards credit to each strategy based off the strength of the supporting research and the demonstrated impacts on health. This weighting system is the reason why Fitwel does not have any prerequisites. and it allows for strategies linked to multiple categories to receive more points, and it really recognizes strategies with the strongest evidence base. It also allows us to change our point allocations over time as the evidence base evolves and new strategies are added. So with Fitwel v2.1, each scorecard still equates to a total of 144 points, and the point ranges for the 3 levels of Fitwel certification have remained exactly the same between V2 and V2.1. Projects and users that maybe are familiar with V2 and are going to use V2.1 will notice that some point allocations for strategies found in both versions have changed, and that's exactly as I talked about, because new strategies have been introduced and the supporting evidence base has evolved. So we're seeing that I think the update from V2 to V2.1 truly kind of used all the benefits of this unique weighted point system to really include that growing body of global evidence and feedback from our users. Additionally, the point allocations for response options have been standardized, and this was, I think, a big thing for a lot of our users. So for Fitwel v2.1, all alternative compliance responses will be worth half the credit of a yes response, and all not applicable responses are worth equal credit to a yes response. So really standardizing our point allocations across the different strategies and the different responses, as well as the different scorecards. And then just one last thing before I wrap up here and pass it back off to Christine is that if you're interested in learning anything more about V2.1, there's a couple of resources I want to point out. The first is the Fitwel V2.1 summary update. This acts as a quick sheet for information regarding updates about V2.1. It covers all the new and updated strategies and information regarding the updated certification pathways. The second is the scorecard worksheet, and this includes a tab for all V2.1 scorecards, as well as associated materials like the Fitwel Food and Beverage Standard, and tabs for calculations for strategies such as access to natural daylight and views of nature. So within the V2.1 scorecard worksheet, there's some really helpful tools and elements that can help projects that are completing and documenting strategies. And finally, the Fitwel V2.1 reference guides for workplace, multifamily, residential, and retail are available. These include really detailed information on each of the Fitwel standards, the strategies, the supporting research, rationales, and compliance documentation. So some really interesting, some really great information in those reference guides that can help projects that are thinking about using Fitwel or currently in the process of going through the digital scorecard and documenting. All of these resources can be found at fitwel.org/resources, and for ambassadors, they can be found in the Ambassador Resource Center. So with that, I'll pass it back over to Christine.
Thanks, Zach. I'd now like to introduce Lisa Creighton. She is the Vice President of Strategy and Development at the Center for Active Design. In this role, she oversees the strategic growth and direction of the organization and its signature Fitwel certification system. Her past experience includes over a decade of making progress towards improving community health within the municipal, education, and private sectors. And prior to entering the field of public health, Lisa worked in investment banking, where she specialized in global mergers and acquisitions in the life science and healthcare sectors. Lisa holds a Master of Public Health and Master of Business Administration from Johns Hopkins University and a Bachelor of Arts from New York University. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm great. Thanks so much, Christine, for the introduction and for having us and sharing all the helpful information about Fitwel today.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. We just had a few questions for you from the Gobi side we were hoping you could help answer.
Sure.
Starting off with, what are the benefits to the Ambassador Program?
Sure. So the Fitwel Ambassador Program, as you all have mentioned in the presentation today, we created this program to equip individuals with some of the knowledge and skills to successfully take projects through the certification process of Fitwel. To become an ambassador, a person would complete the ambassador introductory course online and then pass an exam. That course, the function of it is to introduce some of the research and rationale behind the Fitwel strategies so that you as an individual can be more equipped and just have some of that knowledge behind it, as well as be more familiarized with the Fitwel portal, which is the digital interface used for certification. The other great thing about becoming a Fitwel ambassador, some of which was already talked about in the presentation today, is you gain access to a host of other benefits. So those include getting exclusive updates from Fitwel. You get a shorter response time to questions that are sent to our unique ambassador email account. You get fast track through the project review and certification process. So as was mentioned, the review and certification process would take 12 weeks instead of the typical 16 weeks. Ambassadors also receive access to our Fitwel course series, which goes in depth on specific topics within Fitwel. Our first course, which is called Food and Nutrition in the Built Environment, that launched in the end of August. And we have several other courses being launched this year. So only ambassadors have access to those courses, really exciting for them. And then lastly, you would be recognized with a certificate and listing on our website on fitwel.org and receive AIA credits if applicable. So as you can see, a lot of benefits of becoming an ambassador, and I would encourage those listeners on the call today to become part of our Fitwel ambassador community if you're interested.
Awesome, thank you for that great description of the program and the many benefits that it has to offer. Next, I know several of us are curious, how Fitwel can impact our GRESB scores. Now that the results have come in for 2018 and looking into the 2019 reporting year, what would you say for that?
Sure. So Fitwel can help increase a company's GRESB score, which is of course what everyone wants to hear on GRESB, in two different ways that I'll highlight. First, achieving just Fitwel certification for a project would add points to your GRESB score. Building certifications account for about 11% of the weighting of a company's overall score for GRESB. Greater credit is given for projects that score higher on Fitwel, so you would receive slightly more points for a 2 or 3 star property versus a 1-star property, as well as greater credit is given for the more projects in your portfolio that have Fitwel certification. So on those fronts, if you can do more within each project to be able to get a higher score within Fitwel, that's going to help. And then the more projects that you do certify within your portfolio, that's also going to help your GRESB score within that weighted portion. The second piece that I wanted to highlight is around applying specific strategies within Fitwel also allow you to pick up points within GRESB. So one example of that is a Fitwel strategy 8.12, which is in Fitwel version 2.1, called Occupant Satisfaction Survey. That also aligns within the stakeholder engagement aspect of GRESB, question 2.1. So if you were achieving that strategy, the Occupant Satisfaction Survey, if that was something you were doing within your building, it would meet both the criteria of Fitwel and GRESB, so there'd be some synergies there.
Perfect, thank you. And moving forward from that, have there been any other recent case studies that you can highlight for both office and residential buildings, preferably in the U.S.?
Sure. We have a series of case studies that are available for free download on our website. Anyone can access those at fitwel.org/resources. But I'll highlight 2 now that I think are particularly interesting and are also featured on that site through the written PDF of case studies. The first is a workplace project called the Concourse. It's an Anthem project by Anthem Incorporated. This project was built in 1991 and renovated in 2012. It's an office space, as I mentioned, of about 300,000 square feet. It's 4-story in a suburban location in Norfolk, Virginia, impacting the health of about 1,500 building occupants. This property, similar to the Gobi property that you mentioned before, that's going through the certification process, it's achieved Energy Star as well as LEED Commercial Interior certification. A few highlights that I think make this project really unique. Anthem in particular has really strong on-site healthy food strategies for its building cafeteria and vending machines. They do both healthier options as well as they include additional labeling and pricing discounts for healthy food options. That's something really unique that we'd love to see more properties do. They also regularly conduct surveys on their food and fitness facilities among Anthem staff so that they can continually improve their offerings. The building itself includes an open and well-located stair that promotes ease of access to that stairwell, as well as promotes just increased bouts of small physical activity throughout the day for users. So instead of taking the elevator, you would use that stair to go up and down and visit colleagues on different floors. And then lastly, for this project, as a Fitwel champion, Anthem is using Fitwel as a benchmarking opportunity to look across their portfolio of buildings and see where they can make investments and ensure the buildings are supporting the health of their employees. So that's one to feature on the workplace side. And again, I would encourage you to read the full case study on our website. The other one that I wanted to feature is the Pearl, which is a multifamily residential property from the tower companies. This property is the first multifamily residential building that achieved Fitwel certification using the multifamily residential scorecard. It was led by the tower companies. It's a little over 300,000 square feet, a multifamily high-rise building with 284 units. They received a Fitwel 2-star certification and impact the health of over 400 residents within the units that they have available. This property is a really unique property. A couple notable highlights here. They have a lot of open and green space for residents, including a courtyard with restorative gardens, a playground, and fitness equipment as well outside. They're also adjacent to, if for any of you in the DC area, they're adjacent to a very large park called Rock Creek Park, which folks there have access to. They have an on-site urban farm that supplies fresh produce through a resident basket sharing program. That program actually is currently oversubscribed and they're looking to expand that. They have a 2-story fitness center that includes both spaces for yoga and cycling studio, cardio center, and a CrossFit zone. As well, another unique thing is they have a full kitchen available that's available to all residents 24/7. That kitchen features regularly scheduled healthy cooking demonstrations from professional chefs, and it often uses the produce from the urban farm. So even though this is in a residential context, all of the different units have their own kitchens, they also have this communal space to be able to create community among residents and teach and train them about healthier options and healthier cooking. And lastly, I'll say again, all these case studies and more can be downloaded for free on fitwel.org/resources.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lisa. I've actually been to the Pearl, and it's an incredible building. Got to tour it and see how the rooms and the fitness center and all those shared spaces are looking. So it looks pretty awesome. I would love to live there. Great. So how then can projects that benchmark but that don't meet the threshold for certification still benefit from Fitwel?
So the nice thing about Fitwel is that it's really intended as a portfolio-based approach. So we like to encourage companies to use the portal, the digital interface, to both determine the current status of how each building within your portfolio is supporting the health of occupants, but also to prioritize future investments. So in some cases, you could put every single building that you have in your portfolio into the Fitwel portal, register that project, and then use the benchmarking feature of the portal to help envision the future and what you may want to do first. So some of this was talked about in the presentation itself, but I'll just go through some of the opportunities here. What you can do is when you register a project on the portal, you complete the scorecard, and then by clicking benchmark, our system automatically populates a list of areas of opportunity and areas of strength for that specific project. If you do that for a number of projects, you can then prioritize which of those projects you potentially want to certify first and where you may make investments in the future. But specifically going back to the list of areas of opportunity and areas of strength, the areas of opportunity list are all the strategies that you did not select for that property, but you could do to improve your score. And the way it's organized is by maximum impact to the property and therefore maximum number of points. I like to think of it as almost a to-do list for your team to improve the building score. And then secondly, on the other side is the areas of strength list is all the strategies that you have selected, along with a description of how each of those strategies connects to health. So what that can do is show how much progress you've made so far and all the great opportunities that that building is doing, but that list can also be used as a tool for your marketing and communications team or your leasing managers to help publicize that property and show some of the benefits. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you, just like a plug and play. Here are how these strategies connecting to health. Here's how you can communicate this to your residents and occupants of that property. So to answer your short way of answering your questions, even if you don't meet the threshold for certification right now, there are still a lot of things you can do to promote what the property is doing, and then also use the Fitwel portal itself to help think about future investments to get that project certified.
Great. So what are then some ways, if any, Fitwel plans to alleviate challenges companies with large portfolios run into during the documentation process? Because I know that often it can be pretty hefty.
That's a good question. There are two ways in which I think would be the best ways to talk about how they can do this. One is so the portal itself is set up as a tool to allow users to apply health across the entirety of their portfolio. One way in which we do that is that the portal itself includes data visualization to show the status of a user's entire account and portfolio and project. So that will just help a visual representation for them of showing how many projects by status, where the account is on both the account, portfolio, and project level. So one, just having the visual representation of their entire portfolio can help with that. But specifically on documentation, we have added a feature I don't remember how many months ago, but this is a great feature for those who have really large portfolios where you can upload portfolio-wide strategies. So a user can upload organizational policies that are applicable throughout the entire portfolio just one time. Our team of reviewers would review that strategy documentation, approve it, and once it's approved by our certification team, those uploaded policies will be pre-populated to every individual scorecard within your portfolio. So you just have to upload it once, we review it once, and then it's automatically applied to everything, which can just make it really easy. Then you reduce some of that burden of having to re-upload the same documentation over and over again for different projects. The nice part too is, although our system automatically applies it to every scorecard, a user themselves can remove that policy on a particular project in the scorecard section of the portal, just in case for some reason one property it didn't apply to, you can manually remove it.
Great, that sounds really helpful for future submissions, especially from Gobi, because I know we face a lot of large portfolios.
Good.
Yeah, and we have one last one for you. What partnerships does Fitwel have right now, and are any in the pipeline?
Sure. So I'm glad you answered this question. We are so excited about our partnerships, and one of the ways that we look at our partnerships is really enhancing the business case by partnering Fitwel with other major players in the market, because our goal really is around market transformation within the industry to support health. So I'll talk about some of the partnerships we have. First, the first type of partnership is alignment with certification and rating systems. Currently, we are aligned with BOMA Best, BREEAM, Reset, as well as GRESB. And what all of these partnerships do, I won't go into each of them in detail, but essentially across the board what these partnerships do is identify complementary strategies and help streamline the process for those pursuing both of the certification or rating systems. So what we're trying to do is realizing for many buildings you are pursuing multiple pathways to getting recognition and certification. So we want to make sure that we're accepting other credits from other systems, as well as in the example of GRESB, for example, you're receiving points for doing some things that you need to do within that system. The second group is around strategic partnerships. We have strategic relationships with both Underwriters Laboratory as well as Fannie Mae. With UL, we have a partnership to expand use of Fitwel in China, as well as to collaborate and align products within their UL spot database with Fitwel criteria to give some synergies there. And then secondly, with Fannie Mae, we have a partnership specifically around affordable housing. So what this partnership is around is Fannie Mae's Healthy Housing Rewards program, where Fitwel offers a benefit of access to that program. Healthy Housing Rewards offers a 15 basis point loan pricing discount, as well as reimbursement of certification fees to affordable multifamily projects that have received Fitwel certification. We are really excited about this initiative. We've been working with Fannie Mae for the past couple of years on it, and it really it stakes a claim in the market of something that hasn't been done before. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I'd be remiss not to mention, is some of our greatest partnerships are with our champion and ambassador users. These are our dedicated folks who are really helping us to demonstrate the power of Fitwel to impact occupant health through your use of the system. So thank you to Gobi and all of our ambassadors and champions on the phone today. And then on the new partnerships front, I would say none to announce today. Unfortunately, we don't have any big announcements today, but I would say stay tuned. We always announce our new partnerships in the press and also on our newsletter. So I would encourage anyone listening today to sign up for our newsletter to always understand and hear the latest about new partnerships that we have coming down.
Great, thanks so much, Lisa, for going through those questions that we had for you. Those answers were super helpful, and I'm sure they can apply to many other people that are listening today. So moving forward to the Q&A section, we want to open up to general questions from today's audience. We had several come in, but we just want to remind you that you can enter any questions in your side control panel today so that we can just address those for you while we're on the call. So we had one come in. It says, you mentioned that Fitwel certifications impact GRESB scores based on the level of award. Is that applicable for V2 Fitwel certifications or only for V2.1?
So I'll take the answer. My understanding is both for V2 and V2.1. We haven't heard anything different to date, but what we can do is we can confirm that and get back to the Gobi team, but our understanding is it's for both versions.
Awesome. Then our next one was, what's the difference between Fitwel and Well? I know we get this question a lot, if anyone wants to talk.
Sure, I'll take that question. So the main difference I would say between Fitwel and Well, we're both in the same space around health and wellness and building certifications. The way we like to think about it is it really lies in the difference in our approaches. So Fitwel is set up for a solution for companies that are looking to apply health across their entire portfolio of projects, either a subset or their entire portfolio, and to be accessible to all buildings regardless of age, size, location, or typology. Our system, Fitwel, is based on a wide body of research that supports the connection between the built environment and physical, mental, and social health. I would say the biggest difference is that Fitwel is run by a nonprofit organization. So Zach and I work for the Center for Active Design, and Fitwel really functions to support our mission of bringing about market transformation of the building industry to support health for all. On that vein, we've priced Fitwel accordingly at a level that covers our costs as a nonprofit organization, which from our view allows companies to apply the system on a much broader scale. So a good example would be for a residential developer, multifamily residential, they could apply Fitwel on both their market rate as well as their affordable residential properties, which from our view, all of this allows the greatest use of the system by all of our partners globally.
Great. And one more question for you. We had for corporate level Fitwel policies, where do you upload them again for an entire portfolio?
Sure. I wish we had a screen share, but the way you do it is if you're in the Fitwel portal, you just go into a given portfolio on your account, and then you click on, I think it's Edit Portfolio. It's in the upper right corner, and then you'll be able to see within the portal where there's just a little box that says Upload Portfolio-Wide Strategies, and you'll be able to see it. But if you have any issues for whomever asked that question, feel free to email us at info@fitwel.org. We can send you some screenshots or reach out to the Gobi team, and they can share with you.
Great. And we had one question regarding the recording of this webinar. I just want to inform everyone that all registrants will be receiving the recording link following the webinar, so you'll have access to that once we have closed out. And I believe that concludes our Q&A section. If there's any other questions, feel free to reach out to any of the speakers today here at Gobi, or Zach and Lisa will be great resources as well. We just want to thank you guys all again for joining us today. And just to conclude, we had a couple of resources that we mentioned throughout the webinar that will be helpful for any questions you may have regarding the certification process. So the Fitwel website, obviously, and which is fitwel.org. And then for any other V2.1 updates, those should be present on the website as well, and the reference guide for the updates as well. And that's it. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day.